Howdy, my name is John, and this video is my September 2022 reading wrap-up. The first book I finished in September is The Perelin Decline by fellow booktuber Pae Veo. Now, I really enjoy Pae's channel, and I highly encourage you to go check it out if you haven't. Now, he hasn't been posting much recently, but he's put out some of the best videos that I've watched. However, I didn't really enjoy reading this. This largely comes down to my taste. This book ponders a question that, quite frankly, I just don't find that interesting. This book did remind me a lot of The Stranger by Albert Camus, and if you enjoyed that, you're likely to enjoy this. I did not enjoy The Stranger, and as such, I did not enjoy reading this either. I gave it 3 stars on Goodreads, and that's mostly because, I do like Pae, and I do think the ending of this is interesting, so that's why I kind of bumped it to a 3-star, but the majority of it really was kind of a 2-star for me. So I don't want to discourage people from giving it a try, because Pae's earlier work, his collection of short stories, I enjoyed several of those short stories. The next book I finished is a collection of Scottish folk and fairy tales. Unfortunately, none of these stories really kind of stood out to me, either positively or negatively. A lot of it is in vernacular, which makes it a little bit difficult to read, but, if you're trying to learn how to speak with a Scottish accent, I imagine this would be a great resource for that. I gave this book 3 stars, and I do recommend it if you're interested in Scottish history or culture. The next 2 books that I finished were The Horse and His Boy and The Magician's Nephew. These are books 5 and 6 in publication order of the Chronicles of Narnia. I've been reading these as part of a read-along sponsored by Amy at A-Star Reads and Christine at An Autistic Reader. I did enjoy both of these, but they're not my favorites in the series. They're kind of solid 4-star reads for me, so they're good. They're just not my favorites of the series. The next book I finished was Bio of a Space Tyrant, Volume 2, Mercenary by Piers Anthony. If you've seen either my review of the first book or my last month's reading wrap-up, the first book was a struggle for me to get through, partly because of writing choices that Anthony made and partly because of the violence that's in the first book. This book was a much better reading experience. I think Anthony got more comfortable writing in first person in this one. He still made a few of the same mistakes that he made in the first one, but they're not as egregious in this second one. I think the story in this one is very interesting, and I actually enjoyed it. It's not perfect, but it is a solid 4-star read for me. The next book I finished was Self-Made Man by Norah Vincent. This book was written about 15 years ago, and it tells of one woman's attempt to actually pass as a man and kind of infiltrate kind of male-dominated spaces. One thing to stress here, and Nora does very early on in the book, is that she is not transgender. She's actually a woman that actually figured out a way to pass as a man. So she goes to several spots. She joins a men's bowling league. She briefly joins a men's monastery. She works in kind of a high-pressure sales job that's mainly male-dominated. It's very interesting to see her discoveries as she goes through this experiment. There are some things that she observes that she really doesn't have the context to understand, but she tries to be fairly upfront about that. This was a reread for me. I read it shortly after it came out. The reason I wanted to reread it now is I did find out earlier in the month that earlier this year Nora passed away. She had some mental health issues that she suffered as a part of this experiment, and she talks about them briefly at the end of the book. Well, unfortunately, she never really was able to completely recover from those mental health issues, which led to her death. If you're interested in this subject, I do highly advise you to give this book a try. I gave it 4 stars. The last book I finished was Arrival by Ted Chiang. Now, this book was originally published as Stories of Your Life and Others, but this is a movie tie-in because Stories of Your Life got turned into the movie Arrival. I've not seen the movie yet. Hopefully I'll get to watch it sometime in October. This book's actually been recommended to me by several other booktubers. It's a collection of science fiction stories. I found the kind of premise of a lot of these stories interesting, but the execution really didn't work for me. I mean, I enjoyed them, but they're all kind of 3-star stories for me, except for the final story. The final story is entitled Liking What You See, a Documentary. And this story actually documents a discussion on a college campus to require technology that removes a person's ability to see physical beauty. So when a person looks through this device, they kind of get a average look at each and every person. The story then follows several people's point of view in this debate. I did find this story to be the most interesting of the group, and it's the only story that individually that I gave 4 stars to. These stories are more along the line of philosophical science fiction, and so if that sounds like something that interests you, I do encourage you to give these a try. Overall, I had a decent reading month, and I hope you did as well. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.